Ladies and gentlemen, really interesting. Share this everywhere. Trump defeats in the latest presidential poll Biden-Harris in 2024 matchups. This is The Hill just now. Former President Trump leads President Biden and Vice President Harris in hypothetical 2024 matchups, according to a new Harvard Caps Harris poll survey released Friday exclusively to The Hill. 46% of those surveyed said they would choose Trump over Biden if 24 were held today, compared to 41% who said they would support the current president. 13% were unsure or didn't know. Trump has to get that 13% to regain the Oval Office. He also needs to make peace somehow with state parties, especially state parties in Georgia and Arizona. But these polls consistently show that Trump is either battling or ahead, okay? And he defeats Harris by a wider margin, also 49% to 39%. He also defeats Buttigieg in primary matchups by a wide margin as well, 42% to 36%. That's another poll. So you have to take things, you have to ask yourself, well, Trump is leading in polls, even in hypothetical 24 matchups, with the current president against the current president mashed potato brains, and that is with everything leveled against him. A special counsel leveled against him. A second special counsel leveled against him. Biden has one, but that's more to try and shield and block any requests from Jim Jordan and James Comer. And by the way, the Durham probe lives on with James Comer and Jim Jordan. Okay, I'm going to continue doing work on that. Things are going to heat up. We're going into 2023 as a lead up to 24. We are heading into 2024, and it's going to be pretty amazing. This is going to be a very, very interesting next 2 years, especially in terms of, well, nothing's ever going to happen. There's never going to be any justice. Well, we're seeing what's taking place. It's taking a long time. But the Durham probe is transformed into the weaponization panel by Jim Jordan, James Comer, and others. We will see impeachment of Biden. We will see almost certainly Hillary Clinton regaining the 24 nomination for the Democratic Party. Okay? Unfortunately, we're going into another stock market crash or another downturn in the market and another economic decline. We have 90 seconds to midnight. The entire American political system realizes that if they don't control every single narrative, okay, they cannot defeat Trump. There's no possibility of defeating Trump if they don't have an absolute control of the media message. Okay, which is why, if you're watching, your support for the channel, hit subscribe, share the segment. My Patreon is below. Become a member. Go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, other publications, and subscribe to a newsletter there. Your support, ladies and gentlemen, is greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. But he has had everything leveled against him. There are only negative stories about Trump. Almost every publication, from the Washington Post to the Times to MSNBC, CNN, Vanity Fair, Esquire, Rolling Stone, Daily Beast, Vice, BuzzFeed, The Nation, Mother Joe. I mean, you only have The Atlantic, New Yorker, New York Magazine, Time Magazine. Then you have Los Angeles Times, Atlanta Journal-Constitution. You have, every single publication out there has this contempt for Trump. And still, he is up in 24 polls. Why do you think that is? Well, obviously, it's because people understand. People realize what's taking place. They realize that this country is going downhill. They realize that we are in a terrible situation with Democrats leading the country. Okay? I did a segment prior to this one. Marco Rubio and others want Pete Buttigieg to either resign or be impeached. And you're looking at every aspect of this administration, from foreign policy is an absolute catastrophe, There's an invasion under Biden's watch. You have Hunter and Joe and obvious felonies that the New York Post reported, but they censored and silenced the New York Post. So there's going to be an emphasis on trying desperately to claim that Trump is going to devour the universe and, be even more vile and sinister than he was before in 2016 when he defeated Clinton. It's not going to work. At the end of the day, what Trump has to do is two things. He can't just cruise into 24, okay? He has to continue to show, or he has to start showing why he's much better, why the country needs him, as opposed to going with another Democrat. I don't think they want Biden in 24. But this just shows that the average American did better under Trump than under Biden. That's without a shadow of a doubt. His last year in office, that was not his fault that governors tank their economies and shut down economic activity. Nobody had to do that. Simply saying, well, we were told to by experts is not an excuse. Nobody that did more harm than good, much more harm. And if you ask Democrats, they'll do it all over again. They'll do it all. Many people are afraid of their own shadows still 3 years later. So you have a cult mentality within the Democratic Party. They'll vote blue no matter who. They don't care about the repercussions or the consequences of their policies. They focus on how wonderful their policies are, but the reality is Trump had better policies. He had a better foreign policy. Look at what took place under Trump. Look what's taking place under Biden. You can draw a T-chart. Same with the economy. We didn't have spy balloons under Trump. Simply, there's zero evidence other than somebody said that there were spy balloons. That's not going to fly if you have a functioning brain cell. If you have a functioning brain cell, you understand that that is just a very vapid, absurd response to try to make everything morally relative. Oh, well, it happened under Trump. Well, no, it didn't. Where's the evidence that it happened under Trump? Where on earth is the evidence that it happened under Trump? Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. This is huge because you would think, ladies and gentlemen, that all of the negative publicity, the hysteria, you would think that the hysteria of the past 7 years trying to paint. I mean, you have musicians kicked out of bands because they voted for Trump. Okay, Tim Pool has a segment out on that right now with a rock star, and so you have this hysteria that how many friends have people lost? I mean, it's like unbelievable, and it's all because you have a machine, a media apparatus, a public relations monstrosity preventing the truth about the Democratic Party. Hunter's emails that show clear violations of the law. You'd have to read the New York Post reporting, but we were prevented from doing that 2 years ago. And unfortunately, the same thing might happen again. So definitely support, the independent content creators. We're over 200,000 subs because of you, ladies and gentlemen, and I appreciate the kind words. I know there are people complimenting me, giving me kind words, and thank you so much. But you have to go ahead and you have to look and you have to ask yourself, how is Trump still defeating Biden and Harris and DeSantis, even with all the negative media coverage? Because people had a better life under Trump. For all the never Trumpers out there, for all the never Trump conservatives, if you happen to stumble upon this, people had a better life in terms of the economy. They liked the foreign policy better. They liked Trump's policies better. Household median income was at record highs. We had record low in poverty in 2019. That is why we did not have that with Bush. We would not have had that with Jeb Bush or the first Bush, baby Bush, or George W., the worst. And so we would not have had that, and we certainly don't have it now. The Doha Agreement was reversed U.S. foreign policy, which is what people wanted. They wanted Americans brought home, and Biden reluctantly abided by that and botched that. Now we have a disaster in Ohio. We have all of these things taking place. Spy balloons above. It didn't happen under Trump. This reverence for the intel community, reverence for media, reverence for public relations, reverence for alliances. If you focus on the country the way Trump did, people prosper. And the working class, if you're on the left, or conservatives, if you're on the right, everyone prospered under Trump. Categorically, without a shadow of a doubt. And most people now are struggling with Biden. And there are reasons for both, for the opposite situations. Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll be back in about an hour.